and in between, the podcast for neurodivergent weirdos and queers who forget about struggling to adult, they're struggling to human.
At least that's what everyone's telling us.
You're right.
Per usual. But seriously, I'm Angela. People call me Mama Pistachio, bringing sense to the conversation. I help individuals and organizations cultivate skills, spaces, and confidence to advocate for themselves and each other.
And I'm Molly, giving a big fork you to cookie cutter solutions. I help busy as fuck neurodivergent entrepreneurs make shit happen by bringing stability to their businesses while helping them do what makes sense to their brain.
Enough with the chit chat. Let's get down to business. What's the frickin' point?
With our powers combined, we navigate life through the drudgery, dreams, and all that shit in between. Plus, we were already having these conversations anyway, so why not record them, right?
Alrighty then. Get ready to call bullshit on what everyone's saying you should be doing as we navigate the spectrum between what your heart wants and the shit keeping you from it.
Good morning. Hello,
Good morning.
everyone. Welcome back to another week. Ooh, as I knock over my microphone. We are kind of excited. We were just talking. I spent my morning on TikTok, as one does. And we're getting ready to kind of deep dive into the concept of consent, with the zone of consent. And Angela was like, I have to remember not to get too nitty gritty. And I was like, no, our audience will love the nitty gritty. And one of the things that had leapt out at me off my For You page this morning was how a lot of neurodivergent, especially autistic folks, need bottom-up learning, not top-down learning. And Angela and I are talking about how we kind of need a balance of both. But I say all this, and it's a great introduction to what we're talking about and what we're going to be doing. But I just want to remind you guys that we have a form on all of the descriptions of the podcast episodes, on the YouTube links, on the descriptions, and in the show notes. That is a Ask Us Anything. If you want us to do like a full-blown dig into the details episode on something we've talked about or something we haven't talked about yet, but you want to get our opinion on, please fill that out because we would love to help you understand something better. Okay, so now we're going to get back to the point, which is consent. And we have three things about consent that lots of things about consent, but three main things that we're going into. And we're going to start with the yummy one, which is from Planned Parenthood, and that's fries. So Angela, can you tell us more about this?
Yeah. Okay. So, when we were getting ready for this, I thought it was important to provide a couple of different models that are out there because I don't specifically stick to just one. It depends on when I'm working with somebody. It depends on what they need and what they understand and what resonates. And I really love metaphors and acronyms and military acronyms. Give us all the acronyms. All of them. So this one by Planned Parenthood is called FRIES, and it says that consent is. And it is fries, like French fries, yum, yum, num, num. It says that consent is freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, and specific. So what does that mean? Basically, like, okay, cool, these are a bunch of words. But actually, let me back up for just a minute. Why is this important? Why do we give a shit about consent? Because it's not about sex.
Right. Oh,
now,
this
granted,
is the biggest mind-blowing thing for me.
Yes. This is the thing. People, when they hear consent and think consent, they think sex. And actually, consent models are based around, here we are talking about Planned Parenthood, right? We're talking about stuff that has to do with sex. But can we just forget that for a minute and remember that consent is something that we do all day, every day, in every aspect of our lives? Consent is not about the other person. Consent is about ourselves. right? Mind
Yes.
blown, right? This is
Yes.
the thing when I'm working with somebody that it's like, stop, shut up, I need to process this for a minute. So let me say this again. Consent happens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in every aspect of our lives. It happens a lot more outside of sex than it happens with sex. And it is about ourselves, not as much as it is about other people.
This entire concept was so life changing. And I don't say that as like hyperbole. Is that what people, is that the right word that I'm
Sure,
looking
yeah,
for? Okay.
yeah.
It's not hyperbole. Like it literally, this understanding that consent is in every single aspect of your life, every moment that you breathe through life. It literally changed the way I looked at everything. And although I am still learning how to navigate this, and we'll get to the model that Angela introduced to me later on in the episode, but I want you to really challenge how you think about consent when we introduce these topics to you, because if one of these resonates with you, take it and fucking run with it, because it really will help change how you see interactions and how you're able to interact with other people.
It's the foundation for everything that you do, right? So, like when I'm talking to people a lot of times about business, I'll say, what are your values? In fact, we just had this conversation
Yeah,
with somebody
we did this
yesterday, didn't
yesterday.
we?
Yes.
We were talking about making shit happen, and I'm like, do you have your values written down? Knowing your core values so that you can do a mission, vision, commitment, all of those statements is the foundation of a business.
Yes.
And right along with that foundation, what makes it really strong and what makes it sustainable is consent. So
Absolutely.
these two things, they go hand in hand. So when we understand consent, when we truly understand what consent is outside of sex, let's take all that stuff that we know and we think about consent with sex, and let's bridge it over into the other 95% of our life. Um, and let's think about how it affects us in our everyday life. And so with that, let's look at Planned Parenthood's thing.
Back to food press.
Fries. Right, back to this. And we'll put links to this in there for anybody who wants to look at any of these models that we're going to give today. Consent is freely given. Okay, that means there's no pressure, there's no manipulation, there's no um, forced power dynamic, there's no drugs, no alcohol, right? That is influencing a person. That doesn't mean that you can't have a drink or two or smoke some weed or whatever you're going to do. But when somebody takes advantage of that, it is no longer consensual, right? Because it has to be freely given. It is also reversible. So you could be in the middle of something, and guess what? You can stop. Doesn't matter what you're in the middle of. You could be in the middle. I love that you are writing something down right now. You can be in the middle of a business negotiation. You can be in the middle of a conversation with somebody. You can be in the middle of dinner, and you can change your mind.
Absolutely.
Right? Holy shit. This is like a new thing that people are thinking about. You can change your mind.
The amount of effort
Just
I'm using
like
to
you
not
can
do
at
earlier right
any
now.
point in time when you are having sex, you can say, no, I don't want this, and you can stop. You can do the same thing in every other aspect of your life.
There are going to be
Okay.
so many head popping emojis today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Informed. You have to know everything about what's going on.
I thought I wrote informal.
Well, I mean, technically, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
there's that. Um,
Okay.
but right, it doesn't have to be a formal thing like in writing
No.
with a contract. But it does need to be informed. Okay, you have the right to all of the information, every single piece of information that goes into something. If you don't have that and somebody's not willing to give you that, it's not consensual. Think about that for work. Just for a minute, think about that for work. Because how often do you have all of the information when you are asked to do something? And are
Never.
you encouraged to ask for the information? Or are
Yeah.
you made to feel like shit when you ask for the information?
Oh my God. I don't know why I'm whispering, but yes. Oh my God.
Right?
This is giving
Okay.
me life right now. I'm just letting you know that.
Right. And all of this spawned from a conversation that we had last week about gift giving and how I'm like,
No,
gift
that
giving
was the week
is
before.
consensual. It was the week before.
Yeah, last week was touched out, peopled out.
Oh, it was
But
touched out. People know. Well, that's
but
consent too.
I was gonna say both of those things come back to consent because I remember we were like, we need to do a consent episode. We keep
Oh, but
talking
wait
about
a minute.
consent and nobody
Everything
knows.
comes back to consent
Yes.
because it's around us in all of our things all day, every day.
Okay, we're in
Awesome.
shenanigans. I gotta go.
Okay. So freely given, reversible, informed. E. Enthusiastic. If you don't want to do it and you cannot give an enthusiastic yes, you should be questioning yourself why you're doing it.
I do want to caveat this with not another person's version of enthusiasm, your personal version of enthusiasm. So if
Yes.
your personal version of enthusiasm is melancholy, that's fine. As long as it is what you identify
I resemble
inside
that remark.
yourself. You resemble that remark?
Yes.
I just wanted to point that out because my enthusiastic would be very different from Angela's.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to make sure everybody felt seen by that word because that could mean different things to different people. So,
Yes, absolutely. And I want to caveat enthusiastic with it doesn't mean that you are like, oh my God, this is the most thing I'm passionate about more than anything else in the whole wide world, and I'm going to do it, and refusing to do anything that's outside of that. That's not exactly what it means. Enthusiastic means it's something that you consensually, from an informed space, are willing to do because you have made that decision, weighed the options, looked at the information that you have. And this one is really, really, really hard for people to get their mind around, and we're going to get more into that. Yeah, when we talk about the wheel of consent, by Dr. Betty Martin, we're going to get to that here in a minute. We're going to get a little bit more into what does enthusiastic actually look like, and what does that mean? Want to, willing to, all of that good stuff.
yes.
And it's so funny because I'm very animated. Because
This
I'm
is
very
so
excited.
not like what people are used to.
Right. And people are not seeing this, but I'm sure that they're hearing it in my voice. I could talk about this all day, every day. I love it. It's a big part of
You do
everything that
talk
I do.
about this all day, every day.
Yeah, I do talk about this all day, every day. Yes, I
And
do.
it's
As a matter
wonderful
of fact.
conversations every time. All right. So,
I mean, it is my job.
right.
So, and it's also specific. So freely given, reversible, informed, enthusiastic, and specific. When you say yes to something, you are saying yes to that specific one thing, not everything else. Not all the stuff around it. Because that stuff might need to be negotiated, it might need to change, and you might say yes to this one specific thing and no to the thing right next to it, which is often misunderstood by ourselves.
Yes.
Right? Like, I consent to doing the dishes. Doesn't mean I consent to being the only person in this home who cleans the house.
Or the fact that you're going to do dishes every time.
Or the fact that you're going to do dishes every single time.
It just means
or do the dishes in the same way every single time. Or use the same dish soap every single time.
And it doesn't mean you can't stop doing the dishes in the middle of doing dishes. It means you can stop doing them in the middle of doing the dishes because you can't handle your hands being wet or the soap smell or
pruny.
You got pruny. I am waving my hands because it is the worst feeling in the world.
I love torturing you with that.
Or like when your hands are pruny and I touch a microfiber towel.
Oh, that truly is.
Truly the worst sensation ever.
We should have trigger warninged that.
I am repulsed.
Yes. Okay. So I know that it seems silly that we're talking about dishes, but consent comes into play when we do the dishes.
Yes. And the reason why I was freaking out is I had to write down my example that I thought of in the middle of you explaining fries.
Let's hear it.
Because I didn't want to interrupt, although we did that 3 times in the middle. So I feel like this example is something as a business owner or a consumer you can empathize with. And it's sales. And when we're talking a lot about, I'm thinking more in like the service-based entrepreneur, contractor kind of situation. But if you're buying a car, it's the same scenario. So freely give it. We're looking at. We were talking about how it needs to come with no pressure. Like that There needs to be no pressure of the sales. And so this is one of the reasons as a brand strategist, and even like you and I talked, and it was an opinion that I had prior to us talking about this, but like it is not my job to make the sale in the moment. It's my job to say that a sale is possible and to explain all the things that come with it and all the details. But literally, it should be, if you are the biz owner, here's all the information and make a decision on your time.
Yes.
And I always say, when you come back to me, you come back to me. I can guarantee the pricing for X amount of time. That's not to feel pressure. That's just to protect myself because they might come back in 2 years.
Right.
And here are all the things that you need to know. If you have any more questions, let me know. And when you're ready, we can move forward. And if I'm not the right person, that's great. But we put the power back on the consumer or the client. It is not our job to say, you only have this for the next 30 seconds. You have to make a decision, and you got to make a decision right now.
Right.
Because, I mean, anybody who's been to a timeshare meeting
right.
knows that feels shitty. And then you're like, what the fuck did I just do?
Right.
So that was my example because I was like, no pressure.
Right. Right. And that's just it. Here we are again. Everybody knows what it feels like to be sold to and how it feels so yucky. Sorry, I just had this like of if you are a human being who appears, acts like, or resembles in any way, shape, or form a woman, you understand very well what it's like to constantly be barraged by gross men sending you things that you are not interested in. Whether it is, hey, sweetheart.
Oh.
Or a dick pic, or any one of the 500 million propositions. It happens all the time. All the time. On every, like, I literally just got WhatsApp.
Oh, no.
I haven't published anything saying that I have WhatsApp. I did it because it's encrypted and I was working with a client who that was really important to. So we did WhatsApp. And within 24 hours, I was getting messages on WhatsApp. Like, what the hell?
Oh my God. Mm.
Okay? That's not consensual. We all know what that's like. We all know what it's like in some way, shape, or form, whether it's to be sold to, whether it's to have pictures sent that we are interested in, or to be propositioned about something that we're not interested in. So when
Right.
I'm talking about consent being in every aspect of life, it really is in every aspect of life, all around us, all the time. Um, so, with that being said, we talked about fries. We're going to provide that information for anybody who wants to go look at that further. The other one is this is something I've had this image for a long time. It was from Truth Juice. And I'll have to look. I did not look before the episode to see if their website is still up. But we will either provide the graphic itself or we'll provide a link to the graphic. So, consent is active. Only yes means yes. Passive
Mm.
acceptance or a lack of no is not yes. How great is that? It is active in the moment. Not saying anything does not mean yes. That's what they mean by passive, right?
Right.
Um, um, so that's number one. Number two, it is based on equal power.
Mm.
Okay? Human beings are equal, and working for someone, being in a relationship with someone, being the student of someone, being the person who is coming in and paying to see a coach,
The
still equal.
parent.
Parent, prettier friend, whatever. We are equal, and any kind of perceived power dynamic, if it is not negotiated, doesn't come into play. Now, think about that, because I guarantee you it comes into play all day, every day in your life if you've ever worked, if you've ever gone to school, if you've ever been a kid.
Right.
You have been told that because you are in this place, you are less than. And that is
Mm.
not true. You are equal and have the right to consent. Period. End of story.
So this is directly challenging a lot of kids who were raised, or people who are now not kids,
Mm-hmm.
who were raised told that people who are older have inherent respect or inherent authority or whatever. And that is one reason that this could be extremely complicated for people who are still trying to deconstruct all those things that are total bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, so even we, I only say this because we even do this with our 5-year-old. Like our 5-year-old even gets to say yes or no. Like, do you want to give that person a hug? No? Okay. Like they are equally, they're given equal respect.
They have agency in the actions that they take in their life.
Yes. I mean, there are some times where like, mommy needs to change your diaper. No, I want to do it. Okay. Well, at least the diaper's getting changed. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Right.
so anyway, I just wanted to make sure I said that.
Well, no, I want to actually build on that. So, as a
Okay.
teacher, I always started the year off talking with my students and establishing this, that I am here in this classroom and I am in a position of authority. Let me explain to you what that means. It means that you and I are equal human beings. I have a responsibility to make sure you're safe. And
Yeah.
here's what that's going to look like. And we would have conversations of, what does that look like? If I'm doing this, I always told them, I said, I promise I will never do anything without a purpose. And you have the right to ask me what that purpose is for everything that I ask you to do. Why is that difficult? It's not. That's not difficult. It is outside of the normal thinking. But in establishing that ground, I opened the opportunity for my students to learn. I didn't create chaos. I didn't create this space where learning wasn't going to happen because I wasn't telling them what to do. I established that you have the choice to not do what I ask you to do. You have the choice to not do what I tell you to do. And here's what it looks like when you choose these things, and having that full informed space. Like, we had it written on the wall. They knew, if you choose not to do XYZ, here's what consequences are. Oh, wait, if you choose to do XYZ, here's what the consequences are. Because consequence is not good or bad.
Right.
Right? So that's what I mean when we're talking equal power. That didn't have anything to do with sex.
No, it didn't.
Right? Unless it was a sex ed class, and then of course it did. Because that's what we were talking about. And yes, I did teach that. Yes. Still, equal power and consent. Okay. 3, it's a choice. You are not a puppet being controlled by someone else. Stay within your integrity. Do things because you want to do them. And 4, it's a process. It's an ongoing conversation. Negotiation throughout the process. Should be, yes, I'm shoulding again. It should be welcomed and encouraged. And you can change your mind.
I want to go back to choice for a second.
Absolutely.
So I was just thinking about it, and this was the hardest part for me, and that's why I'm kind of thinking this might be hard for other people, is if you are raised in a certain environment where consent or choice are outside of your hands, it might be very fucking difficult to identify what you actually want.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say it's your choice and you're like, well, I don't know, that's okay. And you don't have to make a decision right this very minute. And you can sit with it. And I just want to make sure that that is very clear, because I know a lot of people who struggle to know what they want because they've never been given the opportunity to want.
Right.
And so if that is you, it's okay to sit there and think about it before you do anything. And that could take a while. It doesn't have to be an instant answer.
Right. So let's talk about this in the realm of some people with disabilities, right?
Mm-hmm.
We choose to have somebody else take care of, right? To take care of us in various aspects, which means that we may have somebody who's making choices for us.
Mm-hmm.
We have a choice in that.
Yes. If the choice they choose is uncomfortable, then that is not a good choice.
Right. We still have a choice in that. So there's we could have a whole episode on self-determination.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But just because you appoint somebody, whether it's in a relationship and it's just a negotiated thing, or whether it is a legally appointed conservator or other caretaker, self-determination comes into play, and we do still get to make choices for ourselves. It's still a negotiation. It's still active, based on equal power, a choice, and a process.
Yes.
And that gets forgotten sometimes by both sides. Mm-hmm. So there's that one. I like that one. I think it's fun, and I like the graphic, and I like what I added to it.
Yes. Well, and I I feel like these all like we'll get to the wheel of consent in just a second, but I feel like if you take fries and you take the graphic from Truth Juice and you merge those together, it makes it an even more like it adds more to the story and it adds more to help you understand things. And if you're like me and you need all the information, I feel like by having these things together, you're like, oh, and this, and
Yeah.
that means I can do this. Like, I think it just builds on each other to know all of
It
these and
does.
to
You
work
know what
them
that process
together.
is called? It's called scaffolding.
I was going to say Molly's brain.
No, it's called scaffolding. It's building on information. At the very beginning of this, you introduced the episode saying we were talking about needing top down, bottom up, this combination of. And that's what I meant when I said, no, actually, we don't just need bottom up or
Right.
top down. We need a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Ta-da! Um,
Look what we
actually
accomplished.
putting that shit into practice.
Yes.
Okay,
I mean,
so
you would because you are you and you would have brought a very structured way, like a perfectly packaged way to help us learn this.
oh my
So,
gosh. Okay, so side side point because you said perfectly packaged. No, 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 no. No. Um when
such
I
a
got
child.
okay, so I've been divorced. When I got divorced from my son's dad, we went to marriage counseling, and one of the things that he said throughout this process was it drives him insane that I am able to take everything and put it into a nice little package with a bow on top. And he was talking about just that. Anytime I have a conversation, it's what I do.
I wonder what that
Neurodivergent
could
much?
be.
Yeah. So I will say, people like to talk about superpowers. I think that that is something that I do well, and I will happily accept that. I do that
Absolutely.
well. And at the same time, sometimes it causes me extreme anxiety and makes other people uncomfortable.
I just am ironically laughing that you package and wrap everything up with a bow like a gift.
Like a gift. I know. And I give it to people without their consent.
I
And they don't
know.
always like it. And it's why I spent years learning how to communicate properly so that I wasn't
I'm
always
sorry.
doing that.
I just found it kind of ironic. That's all. Anyway, moving
Hey,
on.
nobody's perfect, okay?
No.
Um,
Totally know that. I know that right here. Right here in my
oh,
body.
oh my God, my heater just turned on and I'm dying. Um,
In California?
yeah, it's like 40 degrees outside.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give it to you. That's cold. All right.
um,
Moving on or rolling along to the wheel of consent.
the wheel of consent. Okay,
Every
so
time, okay, I got a sideline because I'm a nerd. Every time I go to say the wheel of consent, I think wheel of time.
okay, fair enough. It is a big, long journey.
Yes. Anyway, moving on.
It's
Wheel of
epic.
consent.
It's epic, okay? For anybody who's actually read the series, truly epic. It takes forever to get through.
That's true.
I started it way, way, way back when and refused to read anymore until it was done.
It never
That didn't
ends.
last. That didn't last. I couldn't. I
Okay.
couldn't. I had to.
I was like,
I had to. But yes, epic, y'all. Okay, so the Wheel of Consent is this is a book and a concept by Dr. Betty Martin. Dr. Betty Martin is the founder of the School of Consent and the author of the book, The Art of Receiving and Giving, which was published in 2021. Although she's been having talks and workshops and things on this for quite a bit longer than that before she wrote the book. She is a former chiropractor. So high touch, right? She is a certified sexological body worker, a certified surrogate partner, and a somatic sex educator.
What the fuck is somatic sex? Or is that a different
Well,
episode?
that's like body stuff, somatic body. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, we could have episodes on all of these. I was surprised. Yeah, I was actually surprised that you didn't say our surrogate
No.
partner.
I do know that. I know what that one is. I,
um, anyway, she is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I have not studied with her personally. However, I am heavily influenced and inspired by the Wheel of Consent. It is a beautiful model that makes a lot of sense, and she has great resources and materials to support the education of that. So we will drop that information in there for anybody who wants more of that, but it is important to me to say that she has not taught me explicitly. The information that I am sharing is learned and interpreted by myself. I have not been taught by her how to talk about this. Okay. With that said, you introduced us and said that I was going to talk about this. Do you
yes.
have anything that you want to say about this before I launch into some of the specifics?
So one of the things that I love about this model is how graphic it is. Because I am a graphic person. Like when I am trying, if it's really, really complex for me to learn something, I have to write down the things that I'm learning, but I have to see a visual representation of the information. And this showed me both sides of the coin. Like if you do this other thing is going to be off balance. And it helped me relate things that I thought were not relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, and I'll let you get into it a little bit more, and then I might like my head might be like, oh, story time. But I think for me, if you are also a person that like struggles to like figure out how to like concepts make sense independently, but like you don't know how to relate them in everyday life, that this model will probably be the one that you want to use because it is so specific. And then you can like visually be like, okay, if I feel this, then that means this. And
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know how to explain it without you explaining it
Right.
better.
So we will provide a we'll provide a graphic for people to use. And I will say that going through this and looking at it yourself, you might have questions. And if you do, send them in. Like we have that ask us anything form, send them in so that we can talk about it because I have a feeling that consent is going to be one of those things that comes up often. And I would even invite somebody to message us and say, can I come on and be like
Oh, heck yeah.
coached through the process? Um,
That would be so
I
fun.
know. Wouldn't it be fun?
Oh
Wouldn't it
my
be
God.
fun?
Yeah, I invite all of you. Um, I
um,
was also thinking certain ones we could take to TikTok or Instagram Reels if that's something the person
exactly.
wanted, where it would be easily digestible, small chunks of information. So those were the things I was
Absolutely.
thinking.
Absolutely. Um, so the wheel of consent is if anything that happens, okay, this is my thing. This isn't, again, I want to caveat not all of this is from the book. I haven't pulled pieces from the book and I'm not teaching the wheel of consent. I am talking about what I believe consent is and how I work with it. And I'm using the wheel as a support piece. Okay. When you are within your zone of consent, okay. And in this case, we're using the wheel as an example. When you are inside of that zone, you feel fulfilled, joyful, confident, and other emotions that result from feeling seen and heard. It feels good. When you are outside of the zone of consent, so if you are outside of your wheel, we become resentful, angry, depressed, or other emotions that result from frustration or feeling unseen or unheard. So Dr. Martin puts this into 4 quadrants. and identifies some feelings within each of those quadrants. For example, one of the quadrants is serving. If you are serving within the zone of consent, it feels good. You're like, this feels really good. I enjoy this. I'm willing to do it. I'm happy to do it. It brings me joy. If you are serving outside of the zone of consent, then you are martyring. Maybe you feel like people treat you like a slave. You feel like you always have to rescue, or people might even call you the rescuer. We've all had these feelings. We know the difference of service that feels good and service that feels like shit. If you are doing service that feels like shit, you are outside of the zone. So you want to wake your way back in and figure out how you can do the service that you want to do within a space of consent instead of outside of it. So that's a quick little example of how the wheel works. The point of it is that within our consent, within doing the things that make us feel good so that we don't get those feelings of being violated, feelings of being a doormat, of being a victim, of being privileged or entitled because we're, taking things that don't belong to us and that sort of thing. We don't want that. We want to feel good, joyful, fulfilled, happy. Okay? Because that's what consent feels like. So that's where we come back to that enthusiastic piece. Okay, I'm doing the dishes. I'm not giving an enthusiastic freaking yes to doing the dishes. I don't like doing the dishes. Okay, cool. You don't want to do the dishes. Doing the dishes does not bring you joy. It is not your first choice. Right? This is not something you're like, I don't want to. But it can be within your zone of consent, and it can come without those feelings of resentment and anger when you genuinely don't mind doing it. You have a reason for doing it. If the reason is your own reason and you're like, I hate having a dirty ass kitchen.
Right,
I don't want to wake up. Yeah, I don't want to wake up to a dirty ass kitchen in the morning. Then that is your reason. You own it. That does mean that you want to do it. So even though you're like, I really hate doing the dishes, but I hate worse having a dirty ass kitchen first thing in the morning when I come downstairs to make my coffee, then you can reframe that and say, but I actually do want to do this. This does bring me joy.
Indirectly, but yes.
Indirectly it does, because I wake up in the morning and I see a clean kitchen, and that makes me joyful.
It's so pretty. That was literally me last week. So I had like 6 bad days in a row. So the dishes piled up. And for those 6 days, I was not going to do the dishes because it did not bring me joy. Couch potato life was the thing. And couch potato life brought me joy. But then I was like having a better day. It was not a great day, but it was a better day. And I was like, I want a pretty kitchen because pretty kitchens make my brain not foggy and I will be able to function slightly better. Not a lot better, but slightly. And so I sat there and I cleaned the freaking kitchen. And I didn't resent that I cleaned the kitchen. I did resent that I sat on the couch. But that was beside the point because I knew that I was feeling better in that moment. But this is the model that Angela had taught me. Oh God, was it almost 2 years ago, Angela? It was before I moved to this house.
At least 2 years ago. At least.
Oh my gosh, time has flown. Anyway, and I literally in my head now go, if I accept this request that this person is making? Am I going to resent doing it for them?
Even if the person is myself.
Even if the person is myself. Like, because I am a non-touchy person and I live with 2 touchy people. So a lot of the times it's, I just need you to rub my back. They probably
Right.
don't actually ask it like that, but that's how I hear it. And sometimes I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just sitting here. I'll rub their back and I don't care because it's not taking anything away from me. I have all the spoons right now. And in other days, I am like, you rub your own fucking back because I am not touching. I'm not sitting next to you. I'm not touching you. I love you, but from afar at the moment. And so again, it's that, like, if we go back to fries, it's specific to that instant. It doesn't mean that I don't love that person. It just means that in that moment, I cannot do the thing that they need. And I am respecting myself and saying no. And I am
Right.
going to not consent to that action.
Right.
So,
And if you did consent to that action, because it's not something that you want to do,
mhm.
you are not going, I have a reason to do this because it's something that I want to do. If your reason is that other person,
Yes.
then you are willing to do it.
And there are times that that is the case. And
Yes.
there are many times that it's like when you have a 5-year-old and you're trying to teach a 5-year-old consent out, obviously appropriate consent conditions. But you're also trying to teach by example.
Right.
There are times where you need to I'm willing to do that because you're 5 and obviously
Right.
you need a cuddle. And regardless of how I feel at the moment, you need that more than I need to not.
Right.
So
Right.
yes, I will be willing to do that. But then there are other times where I'm just honest and I say, mommy can't do that right now. Mommy's body is not okay. And mommy needs to be by herself. And you are okay. And I am right here in the same room with you. You know,
Right.
like, I think that that is a big component that we might not have seen as kids. Like, I don't care what generation you want to talk about, but any of the previous ones, where we were not shown examples of consent. And
Right.
therefore, we are learning by reading books and watching other people who have somehow figured it out. And we're like, it's like learning how to ride a bicycle or learning how to read for the first time. Like, these are all things that are new and not going to come easy at first, and
Right.
but are going to be very rewarding to learn. I mean, not everybody might think riding a bike is rewarding, but
But consent is understanding
yes.
consent. Understanding consent and being able to put that understanding into practice is important, and it does feel good, and it takes a little bit of time to adjust and to help the people around you adjust to you having some boundaries and being firm on those, and taking a minute to say, do I want this? Am I willing to do this? Do I not want this? Am I not willing to do this? And then communicating that and negotiating, it's a whole process, right?
Mhm.
Consent is a process. So this is a little rundown, and I highly encourage anybody to get Dr. Betty Martin's book, to look her up at wheelofconsentbook.com. You can find Dr. Betty Martin at wheelofconsentbook.com. You can also just Google Dr. Betty Martin, Wheel of Consent, and you will find her information. She's done lots of videos and talked about this. She also gives workshops. There are practitioners in areas that give workshops as well. If you're wanting to do this, call us, message us, anything. If you want more information on this as well, we can provide that. The point of it is consent is like gift giving. You're giving a gift, you're receiving a gift. Okay? If you are doing an action and you are giving a gift, You are serving. The gift that you are giving is your action. If somebody else is doing something, and you're giving a gift, it's for them, okay? They are doing the action, but it's for them. Then the gift you give is access to you, to your time, to your attention, or to your things. You are allowing. And you can allow within consent. And then we have the doing, and it's for me. I am the receiver of the gift. The gift that I am receiving is the access to what I want. And then there is the somebody else is doing, and it's for me. The gift that I receive is their action. And so now that we have made it a very simple yet difficult thing, because it is very simple. It really is very simple, but it takes a lot to get your head around it because it's so far away from how we have seen things before, even though it is how it is. In understanding those 4 things that I just said, it is life-changing.
Absolutely.
No hyperbole. It is life-changing. It strengthens all of the foundations that you work upon, and it allows you to communicate your needs, wants, and desires, and to experience your needs, wants, and desires in all aspects of your life.
Ooh, I just looked at the time. I think that we'll probably roll back around to this eventually. How many wheel puns do you think I can come up with? But so we'll circle back. Yes. But I am so excited to hear how everybody, which model of consent resonates with people and how this affects and changes your life. And just remember, starting with baby steps is usually the easiest for most people. So, just absorb and try and see how it works and report back because we really want to hear how it goes. So anyway, I think that's all we got for today.
All right. Thanks for listening to Drudgery, Dreams, and In Between, a weekly live broadcast coming to you every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Pacific. Subscribe now wherever podcasts are found. If you'd like to support the podcast, be sure to leave a rating and review and share with your friends. To catch all the latest from us, visit us at drudgeryanddreams.com and follow on your favorite social media platforms at Drudgery and Dreams. Thanks again. See you next week.